we go. All right, folks, welcome to California Extreme. This is actually the first session of the day, so we're kind of thin in the audience, but we're also live on Twitch, and we're going to put this on YouTube later, on DRI374, and on Marco Pinball on Facebook and YouTube and such, right? And the session for today is basically like a Bond deep dive. We got our friends from Stern up here. We got Grant, Mike Vinikour, and Kyle Spiteri from the support organization, right? And we're going to talk mostly about Bond. We're also going to talk about other things that these folks do on a daily basis. So, and for you who don't know me, like, my name is Michael Madsen. I'm just a streamer here from the Bay Area who kind of like doing weird things like this. And this actually started out as a MXV challenge, right? So I just wanted to get Mike Vinikour on the horn over Bond, and all of a sudden, let's do a streaming seminar instead, right? And that's why we're here now doing this.
Somehow it turned into a 2-hour Broadway, but hopefully we can fill the time and not put you all to sleep.
Yeah. So the grand finale of this is actually that I'm going to get my MXV challenge, because we are going to play the game, me and Mike, and try to kind of blow it up. This is a new in-box, beautiful Bond Premium we got here, so this should be fun, right? So let's introduce the folks up on the stage there. Let's go, Michael Grant.
My name is Michael Grant. I'm Senior Manager of Location Entertainment at Stern Pinball. I oversee the Stern Army, your monthly Stern Army tournaments and official launch parties. I'm happy to be here.
How long have you been working at Stern, Michael?
I've been at Stern for almost 2 years now.
And do you want to tell your origin story of how you got here? We got 2 hours.
We love stories. Come on, let's hear it.
Yeah, I guess we could. So I actually started in the business working for a different company, American Pinball. I ran their sales and marketing for close to 2 years. It was always my dream to work for Stern. I knew John Buscaglia at Stern Pinball for my previous career, actually, when I used to sell sports and gaming collectibles wholesale. So I used to sell board games, card games, sports collectibles, autographs, memorabilia to retail stores. So a lot of what I actually learned selling products like Magic the Gathering, Launch Party, Friday Night Magic, and Launch Party stuff. With Magic the Gathering, I actually eventually applied to what I do here at Stern. So I worked at American for a couple of years, and I always wanted to work at Stern. And eventually, I was able to, when I was ready to move on from there, I made the jump, and it's been great ever since, and I'm really happy to be here.
Awesome. Let's go Kyle next, only because my story is so long compared to you guys.
Hit it.
I want you to tell the long version of your story.
Well, we have 2 hours, so I'll totally tell the long version of it.
Hello. My name is Kyle Spiteri. I know many of you because I am from the Bay Area. I have been working at Stern for approximately 1 month and 10 days.
Baby on board.
Yes, very much baby. I work in the technical support, technical services, so my title is a technical support engineer. I finally made it to an engineering title in my life. No. So my background is mostly in pinball repair. I know multiple of you in here because I delivered games to you when I was working for Chris Kuntz, which I did for a very long time. My first foray into pinball was buying a extraordinarily broken creature from the Black Lagoon when I was 18. And it's been crazy like 14 years after that. So going from buying a broken game to now working at Stern is really amazing. Lots of, I spent a lot of time with the Pacific Pinball Museum as well. That's where I met Jim. Once I got an opportunity to move to South Carolina, I worked with Marco Pinball, working through product stuff, and through that, I got my position at Stern, and I am extremely grateful. It is a huge honor to work with so many people that are my friends, but also people who had a huge impact on my childhood. I get to work with people that entertained me for a long time, like George Gomez and John Borg. It's insane that those people are my coworkers, and I am very proud. So, and I also have a lot to thank for this guy right here, because he helped me get my foot in the door, and I am eternally grateful. So, thank you, Mike.
You're welcome, Kyle.
Is that?
Happy to do it.
Great origin story. Chat chimes in back here, so let's hear it, Mike.
All right, mine's a little bit more long-winded because I'm the oldest one up here, and this is now the tail end of my 29th year in the game industry. My name is Mike Vinikour. I'm an associate game developer here at Stern. I've been at Stern for 6 3/4 years, roughly. But like I said, the 29th year in the business. I started at Williams Valley Midway in the 90s, but on the video game side. So it was Mortal Kombat that brought me to the dance, so to speak. That was the game that led to my foot in the door. And much like I was Kyle's foot in the door, I met somebody at a punk rock concert that was wearing a Mortal Kombat shirt. Some of you may have heard me tell this story before, but I always like to put it over because the guy changed my life. I met this guy named Bill Dabblestein. I never met him before. I only even met him because when I was walking to the bar to get a drink, he was wearing a Mortal Kombat shirt, and I was obsessed with Mortal Kombat at the time. And I was one of the best players in Chicago, and I wanted the shirt. So I just ran up to this guy I didn't even know. I'm like, I love your shirt. Like, I want it. You know, and I'm like, where did you get it? And he goes, I work at Midway Games. I'm like, get out of here, you do not. He goes, no, I really do. And he pulls out his business card and he shows it to me to prove it. I'm like, my eyes lit up like a kid at Christmas, you know. I'm just like, and I don't know how I had the bravery to like approach to tell this perfect stranger this, but I'm like, you know, I'm probably one of the best Mortal Kombat players in the world. I would love to do like game testing for you guys, but I have no idea how one would go about that, or you guys even need something like that. But if you do, like, I would love to do it. And he's like, give me your number and I'll call you. I'm working on a game that we could use some testing soon. Now I thought he'd throw my number away as soon as I left. You know, I turn around, I'm like, he's gonna talk like, he doesn't know who I am. I'm too loud, yeah. But to his credit, and much to my delight, he called me a month later, and that was my foot in the door. And then, you know, once I was there, then, you know, I found my path and I was able to turn it into a career. But if that guy didn't wear that shirt to that concert, I have no idea what my life would have turned out, because I planned none of this. So I worked there from 1994 until 2001. I was a video game tester for a number of years. Then I ran their field test program, which meant I took care of the video games and the pinball machines. So I'd place them at locations, you know, and we'd track the earnings, we'd update them, see how they do. And then when we closed pinball in 1999, unfortunately, and then they closed the video side and got out of the coin-op business totally in April of 2001, I believe it was. And then I did video game design for console games for 9 years. And I got super burned out on doing that, and I didn't want to do anything with video games anymore. And I bounced around from various gigs between then and then I returned to pinball. And I always told myself I'm staying in games, which I kind of had to. I painted myself into a corner at this point in life. It had to be pinball. And then I worked for another company before Stern, and then George Gomez offered me a job back in 2017 or 18. I don't even remember now. However many years, 6 3/4 years ago it was. I'm terrible at math, which is why I'm not a programmer. And I've been at Stern ever since. And Stern was where I wanted to be from the minute I left Midway Games. I'm like, I wanted to be in pinball even back then, because I would play pinball all the time, and I would just hang out with the pinball guys near the end of my career at that company. And you know, pinball was shrinking then, and almost went away twice. But for 10 years, Lyman Sheets lobbied for Stern to hire me, and he kept telling George Gomez, like, you should hire Mike, you should hire Mike. He finally got his wish, and I finally got my dream job thanks to Lyman, and of course thanks to George for going along with the whole thing. And so I really owe this part of my career to Lyman. And then I've been there ever since. I started there doing software testing, and I ran our field test program there as well, but it quickly changed to where I was helping design game rules. And now I also do expression light shows, so like all the games that have the expression lights, which is Led Zeppelin, Rush, and Foo Fighters, I design those light shows. And like James Bond is my largest rule design role, like by far. The largest before that was Stranger Things, but I touch every game in some way. Sometimes it's with rule design, and sometimes it's just software testing, sometimes it's just some, you know, a voice to a sounding board for guys when they're developing their games. It varies from team to team.
Skill shots.
Yeah.
And I design really difficult skill shots. Which that one I owe to Keith Elwin. The MXV skill shot became a thing because of Iron Maiden. It was Keith's idea. Because I went to him, I'm like, you should make this a skill shot. He goes, well, why don't we make it the MXV skill shot? I'm like, really? He goes, yeah, let's make it a thing. So it really was Keith's idea that there was an MXV skill shot because I had pitched doing this, you should just put this in your game. So thanks, Keith.
So somebody can walk up to you and give you a skill shot idea. Who gets the credit then?
I won't listen to it. By the way, just so you know, on James Bond, the first thing I designed was my skill shot, which is still not in the game yet, but it'll be there. It'll be there before we're done. Yeah, it'll be there by the time we get to 1.0.
Actually, hearing my colleagues here talk about their origin story, I've remembered some details that I'd like to add some color to. So I actually fell in love with pinball on location, which I think most of us here probably did. I used to play pinball as a kid when I'd go on vacation with my family. We'd always play at the hotel or motel. Typically it was a motel. We'd find a fun house or whatever the game was at the time. So I fell in love with pinball there, and then it kind of went away. As Mike said, locations weren't as prevalent. And then I was on a date in 2013 at an amusement park, and there was a pinball arcade. I said, well, this will be fun, let's go play pinball. And I got a multi-ball in Lord of the Rings. I had more fun playing pinball than I did on the roller coasters. So I said, I need more of that. So down the rabbit hole I went. I went online and I discovered various Facebook groups and YouTube channels. Then I discovered you can own a pinball machine? Are you kidding me? So I went on Craigslist and I bought the first game I found, which is Stern High Roller Casino. And the guy I bought the game from told me about this thing called New England Pinball League. And I was like, what do you mean, New England Pinball League? I just want the game, thanks. Didn't understand, that aspect of it. But by the time I bought my third game, he was the president of the New England Pinball League, Chuck Webster, and he said, we're having a tournament at this location this weekend, come down, check it out, you'll love it. And I was a little, I figured the people might not be my age, they're probably a bunch of old people, like, who likes pinball? I'm like, I thought I was on an island, right? But it was, a lot of people my age, younger than me and older than me, so I really found, a group of people that had the same interest as I did in pinball, which was really surprising. So at the time, as I previously alluded to, I was already selling games and collectibles, and over time, maybe a year or two into playing in the New England Pinball League, I said, I want to do this full time. This is really what I want to do. How can I work in pinball? I'm not that technical. I can't even fix my own games. Geez, what do I do? Oh, I sell games. So I went on LinkedIn and I messaged everyone who I knew that worked in pinball and everyone who I didn't know that worked in pinball. And that's when the previous company reached out to me, and I started working with them. And then actually, I didn't end up speaking to Stern about an opportunity that I actually didn't get. I actually ended up getting sick and found out in my hospital bed I didn't get the job, and that was okay. I said, I've only been in this business for 6 months. I'm gonna put my head down and keep trying. So eventually it was time to move on from my previous gig, and I made the jump to Stern as marketing manager. So as marketing manager, I did all, helped out with the sales and marketing team in all aspects, making sales flyers, social media content, running, going to all these shows. But now as effective January this year, I've been overseeing Stern Army, which is really where I want to be, where I get to work with locations and other enthusiasts and promoting location pinball, which is really important to me. It's really great for the community. It helps locations thrive with driving business to their locations and introducing more people to pinball. So really proud to work for Stern. It's a dream come true for me, and really, really happy to be here to interact with all of you.
You could have been my tag team partner years sooner if you just would have gone to a punk rock show or gotten a Jawbreaker tattoo. Because that's how Kyle and I became friends. All right, I have a trivia question for you guys, and if you whoever answers it correctly, if you can, I have a prize. What was the very first game I worked on? Not at Stern, like in my career. I'll give you a hint. It was at Midway Games. It was an arcade game. And I'll double down on the hints. It was not Mortal Kombat.
I'm just going to guess Terminator 2.
No, that was before my time. You can't guess. You know this answer, probably. Anybody else know? Going once.
Can I guess?
I'll let you guess, but you don't get the prize.
Revolution X?
It was Revolution X.
I probably heard this story.
Yeah.
Everyone's favorite game.
Yeah. So that was the game that Bill Dabblestein was a programmer on, and he's like, that was my foot in the door, but it was Mortal Kombat that kept me, because that was how I got in there.
Yeah, so pay attention because he's got a whole full stack of banners behind the desk there. So you have to kind of listen in now if you want to.
All right, I got one more. This one's easier. What was the first project I worked on at Stern? What the first game?
2016?
I might have started I started in 2017, the beginning of 2017.
I don't even know if I know this.
I know.
He knows, yeah. No? Man.
2017 was a really good year for pinball.
What's that?
Batman 66.
It was. Dean gets the prize.
Oh yeah, first banner.
Yeah, that was, it was a real treat for me that the first game I had to work on was Batman, not only because I love the theme, and I used to grow up watching the show, but that was a game I got to work on with Lyman, and so the game I got to do was with a really great friend of mine that helped get me my gig.
Can you go back and put a skill shot in it?
I would love to, but yeah, probably not though.
Oh, that's hilarious.
All right, Michael, what do you got for us next?
Yeah, we got a lot of things to talk about, right? So since the topic for today is Bond, right? So what is your personal kind of relation to Bond as a franchise? Since we're here talking about Bond.
All right, so I grew up watching James Bond movies with my dad. My era of James Bond was Roger Moore, just because of the age I am. My dad grew up watching all. I think the first time we ever watched any was either when we got cable TV, which was back when I was in 7th grade, or we had a VCR earlier than most people. My dad he was really good at getting free stuff. And he got not legitimately, he wasn't a criminal. Through my family's business, they would work with different companies and they would give us free products, So we got a microwave really early, but we got a VCR, and the thing was as big as this table practically. And so my dad used to rent movies for us all the time at the video stores once they started popping up. And I remember him renting some James Bond movies. And eventually I went back and watched all the Sean Connery ones too. And I've watched most of them, but not all. I think there was the era between of the Pierce Brosnan ones. I don't think I've seen all of those. But I did see all the Daniel Craig ones. But I always really liked the whole franchise. And I watched a ton of them when I was younger, and then there was a big gap where I didn't watch them again. And then I had to revisit them for this project, and it was a real treat to go back and see all that stuff again. But as a whole, I've always been a fan of that franchise. What about you guys? What's your James Bond story? You got one? Did you ever watch it before?
GoldenEye. I played a lot of GoldenEye.
That was a huge game, yeah.
Right answer.
But actually, James, it's funny. James Bond was my father really loved James Bond films, and he passed last year. But unfortunately, but I visited him a few months before he passed, and we were working on Bond at the time, and I run a pretty tight ship, and I don't reveal anything. I probably should have told him that we were working on Bond, and I didn't get to. But I know that he's happy that we're talking about Bond today. So
Awesome.
I actually do. I also played a insane amount of GoldenEye on my N64. My mom wouldn't actually let me have it. So I remember my friend had a copy and we replaced the label with something else so I could have it in my box of N64 games, and I played it. But when I was growing up though, my neighbor, who was my best friend, his dad was English. So of course, he was also in the high-end car world. So yeah, he had an affinity for Aston Martins and James Bond. So we watched a lot of James Bond. And the fun thing is I got to grow up watching all eras of James Bond. But Roger Moore was always my favorite James Bond. I don't know why. I watched all the Pierce Brosnan ones when they were in the movie theaters, but I always liked Roger Moore. He was handsome and suave, and I don't know. But what's your favorite James Bond movie?
Oh man, I don't think I could pick one, but if you're going with the Sean Connery ones, it's probably Goldfinger.
Yeah, I would have to say either Goldfinger or Thunderball for me.
I'm partial to Goldfinger.
What about you guys?
Thunderball.
Okay, well,
I have a longer story about that, I'll tell you.
Yeah, everybody got a Bond story, which is
Michael,
quite
what's
unique.
your favorite? What's your favorite James Bond?
Yeah, I mean,
the actor.
Yeah, Roger Moore as you, right?
Yeah.
That's my Bond.
Well, we're
I-
pretty close in age, I think, right?
Yeah,
So,
we must be. But I mean, you're like a different era of punk than I do, so there must be some gap there. That
Yeah, well, I was an early adopter of the punk rock. Thanks to friends I made that were 1 year older than me. That they turned me on to punk rock when I was in seventh
All
grade.
right,
so.
all right.
And if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now because I wouldn't have found my career.
No, that's hilarious. Yeah, that's just amazing. But yeah, so Roger Moore is my Bond, and I think A View to a Kill is the movie I sort of had on repeats at home, and it's basically the lowest rated Bond movie out there for the Bond experts, but I love it. It's to this day, actually. So it's really cool. So
Question.
Sure.
So, since you had the whole franchise, right?
Yeah.
Right, and you could do the 60th anniversary, was this a George decision to do the Connery machine?
I think so, but I can't say 100% certain because I didn't start on this project from day one. Like this project started, it started from a different pinball designer who left the company, and then instead of continuing that work, George scrapped it and started from ground zero, started fresh. And then I was asked to do it, and plus, we knew that Lonnie was going to be the lead programmer, and Lonnie and I have worked very well as a tag team my entire Stern career. Our last game we did before this one was Stranger Things, and that was my previous largest design role for Rules. If I had to guess, it was George's, but it might have just been that was what was available. I don't really know the details. I don't work on the licensing side, but there was, from the get-go, there was the plan to do the two different titles of like, we're going to do this one based off the Sean Connery ones, the classic ones, and then one to celebrate the 60th anniversary, the 60 years of Bond that kind of was all encompassing. And that one was supposed to, going to be like a retro, like throwback game, which is what you guys, which is what we made.
well, George has told me that story. I've interviewed George a couple times about this project, and he has a very heartfelt story about seeing what's the second one? Dr. No was the first movie, and
Commercial Love, yeah.
going
to the theater.
seeing it on like opening day with his aunt taking him to the theater to see, or not opening day, but like very soon when it was new, So I think
I
that
think he saw it multiple times
Yeah.
too. Like he sat in the theater like all day, and I think he watched it more than once.
so it's something that I know that this era and the early Sean Connery stuff is near and dear to him. It's great to listen to him talk about it because he just bleeds passion for it. But I don't know.
Yeah, I do know that George and both George Gomez and our playfield and cabinet artist Kevin O'Connor, the biggest James Bond fans I know. So those guys were super into doing this game, especially George. I mean, George had he told me about the toys he had as a kid, of the James Bond toys. Yeah, attaché case. Yeah, I was just like that.
You have that?
That was like his Star Wars. I grew up with all the Star Wars toys in the '70s, and George grew up with James Bond toys in the '60s. So so it was largely George, and I would imagine the reason why I ever got on a radar would have been him as well.
yeah.
It was like one of his dream things.
Yeah. I mean, I listened to the podcast that you released when the game was announced, right? And you can kind of hear George's voice. He just loves this, right?
Yeah.
And I saw some other kind of clip with him where he visited some Bond museum or something like that, and it was just like a kid in a toy shop kind of thing, right?
The Ian Fleming Foundation.
Yeah, when we were coming up with stuff for this game, we'd be in Zoom meetings. It was like Lonnie, George, and myself. And when we started talking about things, George's eyes would light up with excitement, and you could hear it in his voice. Much in the same way if you get me talking about records, and music. It's the same thing for him with Bond. That was the thing that he's way into.
Yeah. So there's a lot of passion going in these things for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So how long has the game been in development? Because you had to hit that 60th anniversary, so it was celebrated in the UK, right?
I think so, yeah, that was the goal,
Yeah.
so we had to get it out in time for that. But I mean, it started, it had a false start basically where it started down one path and then everything changed.
Yeah.
And then we started over. But the development cycle was, I think, a little shorter because of that than
Yeah,
a normal Cornerstone. So it abbreviated like how much time we had to get it out the door and to get it to where we had to show it.
Yeah. Gotcha.
But
gotcha.
yeah, it was close, but not quite not quite the full normal time.
Yeah, understood. Yeah, because the game was announced like almost a year ago, right? And
It's coming close to a year,
Yeah.
yeah. 'Cause I remember we showed it for the first time at Pinball Expo,
Yeah.
and that was October. So I think we announced it in September.
yeah. I'll check the announcement podcast, and that was published in September, so it must have been around that sometime. And yeah, so you've been providing like regular updates, like code-wise now on a monthly cadence, almost like adding like a ton of new content. Are we gonna see that monthly cadence on the updates?
I mean, I'll
moving
never
forward?
promise that okay, we're gonna do it every couple of weeks or something. But I mean, we've been on a good cadence of usually every 3 weeks or 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And we're gonna continue doing that to the best of our abilities. Sometimes things take a little longer, like this last update took a little bit longer than the one before. And we'll have another one coming out soon, but we're gonna be doing it right up until it's done.
Yeah,
And we're gonna get them out as quickly as we can. But roughly, we're aiming for about the same cadences because we still have a lot to do, even though there's a ton in this game. And
Yeah.
Honestly, I think this game is gonna have the most stuff to do in it, maybe out of any Spike 2 game. I mean, just mode-wise, we've got 24 main modes. We've got, when it's all said and done, there'll be 5 mini wizard modes, and then the final, be-all, end-all wizard mode, plus all the, the 2 main multi-balls and all the other smaller stuff, that goes into the game. So it's been non-stop for Alani and me since well before we debuted the game. And on top of that, like, I'm juggling other projects. I mean, I worked on Venom. I did the expression lights for Foo Fighters. So like I'm always wearing multiple hats and I'm juggling multiple titles, but the main focus, like my day-to-day, has largely still been Bond ever since we shipped it. It's like that's my main focus.
Gotcha.
But I have to do all these other things too to fulfill my obligations to all the other teams.
Awesome. So what are the like next kind of set of milestones we would be able to see like from a code perspective? I know, like I just like I heard a lot about this U-turn shot, right? And I'm just like, for every update, it's just like through the release notes, where's my U-turn?
It's
right?
coming, but it's probably not the next one. I will tell you that the next update we're doing, which is soon, we'll have that 4th and final mini wizard mode, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that one, again, each one of those is totally unique, and this one's even more unique. And Lonnie and I are both super excited about it. Like, I called him yesterday and we were talking through like where he was programming it.
Yeah.
And when I get back, like, I'll get to see where he's at from when he left.
For the folks who don't know what the U-turn is, it's basically when the ball accidentally makes a U-turn on the kind of the ramp complex here. So you go up a henchman and down villain. So will the U-turn be like both ways then? Because you can get
just one way.
Yeah, just one way. Yeah,
One way, and it's gonna have a name. I will not tell you the name yet. And it's gonna do stuff. Like,
that was my next question. What is it gonna do?
It's gonna do it's gonna be cool when you do it. And by the way, you could purposely make that shot from your lower left flipper. I've done it. Like, I've done it multiple times. It's really hard, but you could shoot like from the tip of that flipper and you bang it into the side of that henchman ramp and it'll go up and do the U-turn and come down.
Holy shit. Wow.
Yeah. Learn that skill because trust me, you're gonna want to know it.
Oh man. We got some good insights here.
Yeah. So yeah, it's coming. It probably won't make the next one because like I said, the mini wizard mode, the final one is the thing. And from there, I mean, we've got still the perks for the Spectre weapons is coming, before the end. The U-turn shot, like we just talked about, and we've still got some more score balancing to do. Plus, giving incentive for finishing modes versus starting them. That's something we're gonna do. You will get some sort of reward for those things up the
like a
middle.
perk then?
Like some sort of reward for for lighting those things up the middle, the inserts. But those inserts largely they're meant to be your status indicator of how far you are towards Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Oh, gotcha. So the pillar in the middle here, basically.
The pillar in the middle
yeah.
is like that's your ladder to get to Her Majesty's Secret Service, and it's always been
sweet.
designed that way. Very similar to like if you go back to like a game like Medieval Madness, where remember the blue lights?
Oh yeah.
You know, up the middle.
Yeah.
It's very much the same
Yeah.
concept of like you didn't get something for the blue lights, you did something to make the blue light, and when
Yeah,
you got all the blue lights, then you got to Battle the Kingdom, right?
Yeah, understood.
So in our case, you did the stuff to light those things solid, and that's your tree, your ladder, getting towards Her Majesty's Secret Service. But there will be some sort of reward for like how many you get. You know, it'll like factor into scoring. You know, before this project is all said and done.
Yeah. So building progress towards like they got like several different colors here. So you need to complete like a villain and henchman and Q branch to kind of.
Yeah, you have to play the 4 things from each movie to light that insert solid, and that's how it works even today.
Yeah.
So you don't have to finish those modes. You just have to have played them or survived them or even drained during them. But once you've started the 4 things, then that movie insert's lit. The Bond Woman is not a requirement of lighting those.
Oh yeah, understood. Yeah, I can see that you got blue there as well. Okay,
They
but there won't be any rewards for the actual lighting of it.
We'll give you something point-wise.
Yeah.
You know, and you know I can't promise anything else, but you know maybe.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
at the very least, like there'll be point awards for having how many you have those lit solid. For sure.
Yeah. Understood.
Just like we'll do something lucrative for you for if you finished modes versus you just sort of you played them and timed them out.
Yeah, it makes sense. Skill play should be rewarded.
Exactly. Like I always, in the older days of pinball, and it doesn't even go back that far. I used to watch guys in my pinball league like start a mode and trap up and just ride out the timeout modes. Yeah, Star Trek was before they changed the code in Star Trek. That people would do that.
I was talking about next gen.
Oh, next gen, yeah, people did it in next gen too. But Dwight came up with that brilliant thing of the artifacts in next gen, which make you want to play the mode. And that actually was the inspiration for me when I did the drawings in Stranger Things. Like I want a reason for people to play the modes, and then I took it a step further. If you did something really skillful in most of those modes, you got 2 drawings instead of 1 for just finishing it. So I always want to give people a reason to play the modes, and I want to give you a reason to like not just survive them, but to beat them. Like you should be rewarded for it. And we've done that in the games that Lonnie and I have done together for sure. Lyman was really good at that too on his games of like. Walking Dead's a perfect example of like you can start those modes and time them out just to get to the wizard mode, but you're not going to get any points. If you play well in those modes, you're just like swimming in points. That again, big inspiration on me for doing stuff to make the player want to play the modes. And I really, as a big fan, and I've done this on games with Lonnie, is the end of the ball bonus. Like I like to reward you for the modes that you played and beat. Let's like take you did all this work, like you should reap the benefits of that every time you drain of like, all right, it's going to factor, which could be a game changer for you. You could walk away sometimes with hundreds of millions of points in Stranger Things at the end of every ball if you played correctly, you know.
Yeah, definitely you don't want to tilt your bonus on Stranger Things.
No, that's the other thing. Like,
for sure.
I used to tell, when I started doing games with Lonnie, like on KISS, I'm like, I've got no reason not to tilt. Like, I'll tilt every ball because I'm like, what am I going to lose, 100,000 points, you know? And then I think Guardians was the first thing where we did it where it's like, you don't want to ever tilt because you could be losing. And if you're competing, like, you could lose a game-winning amount of points if you tilt.
So as a game rules designer, which has been your role in this game, Mike, so in what phase do you come in here? Because there are some kind of things, one thing that stands out of this game is the 7x playfield multiplier, for instance, right?
Yeah.
Which is basically when it's kind of flashing as long as you have a multiplier lit, right? So what are other because you haven't like designed like the layout of the playfield or the artwork on it, right?
Right, yeah, George did the playfield, but I saw it. It's work in progress. He would share it with Lonnie and me.
Yeah.
As he was doing it, but it was pretty far along by the time George brought me in on the project.
Yeah.
He had like his first, like the first full whitewood. I think was the first time he brought me in.
Yeah.
And we didn't have all the insert placements and stuff, so I helped. We did that as a team, the 3 of us.
All right, understand.
But the Bond women, like how that worked.
Yeah.
That was like, I pitched that from like, that was the second idea I had after my skill shot. was like, we're talking about, well, George had the idea of like, he wanted to do something with the villains, with the henchmen, with the Q branch, with the Spectre weapons, and with the Bond women. And and then it immediately came to me, I'm like, well, let's make the Bond women a playfield multiplier. Let's make the women the powerful thing in this universe, right?
Yeah.
And he had that side loop. I'm like, put them there, because like that's going to be the skillful thing where it's more risky. And I'm really big on the risk and the reward. And then the rule evolved from there of like visiting the different parts of the playfield to qualify all this stuff. I wanted everything to be important.
So how does those multiplier? They start flashing, and that you need to make a combination of different shots for different lady, or
Okay, so each.
And for you don't know that the Bond ladies is the upper loop shot that goes from the upper flipper around the bumpers.
Yeah, so how it works is each movie of the 6 movies in our Bond universe here is represented by a different section of the playfield. So you have to visit each section and do some amount of work. So it's pop bumpers, spinners, the rocket, the left and right ejects, and the right orbit. Those are the 6 things. Each one's tied to a movie. So you have to make, you make the spinner enough times, you light that Bond woman. It's also, by the way, how you qualify the Q branch modes. And every time you interact with those things, the display will tell you, 3 more to light the Bond woman multiplier, 2 more to light Q branch or whatever. And then there's also like super spinner, super pops, and you get like points, like power points for certain thresholds. But when you make enough spins or enough rocket shots, then you qualify that Bond woman, and her insert will be flashing on that side loop. And then if you make the side loop, it lights her solid, and it will be solid for the rest of the ball. For every solid insert you have lit on that side loop, that's plus 1x playfield multiplier. You activate the playfield multiplier with the button on the lockdown bar. It'll be pink, lit up pink when it's ready to use. And the amount of time of playfield multiplier time you get is based on how many solidly lit Bond women you have. It starts at 20 seconds and it goes up 10 for every subsequent one. So, and then if you get all 6 Bond women lit, you get a 7x playfield multiplier for 70 seconds, plus you get a 30-second ball save. So for doing all that work, you're guaranteed 30 seconds of 7x multiplication while you're playing. So you don't do all that work, hit it, and then drain, and then you're out of luck. Yeah. And that one was Lonnie's idea. The ball saver was, and it was totally the right way to go.
Have you considered changing the color of the button as you progress with the multiplier for different colors? So instead of mashing it at 2x, right? Like, hey, it's now yellow, it's now 4x or something like that.
No, only because that button is going to do something else as well. That require, and we like to tie a color to a function. Okay. So, and Lonnie and I are both big on this. It's like, one color, the pink is the multiplier. Like another color will mean something else. So when you look at that button and you know what color it is, you know what it's going to do. Rush did this as well. Like there's a couple different colors of the button and what it does on Rush. One, like I think green gives you an ediball, and like red was the diverter, and then they did something for like where it would do like a smart bomb, where it would give you a shot. So we're gonna do something like that with the colors mean something. So pink has to just stay pink. But I mean, it's easy. It's right up in the middle of the playfield to see however many solid you have, And another thing about this rule, any ones that are lit solid, you lose when you drain, and you got to do all that work all over again to light them. Any ones that are blinking you haven't actually collected them yet, will stay blinking on subsequent balls. So you got them qualified, but you didn't collect them. So use it or lose it is basically the rule. And it's a big like press your luck. How many do you want to light before you cash out? I can't tell you how many times I've drained with 6. And then that last one's flashing, and then I break the shot, and then I'm out. I'm like, I could have had 6x of something before and like had a way bigger score. But that's kind of the magic of the rule, It's like it's the risk and the reward. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not in control over your swag over there, Mike, but I think that was a really good question.
It is. I'll give you a prize. Yeah. Thanks, Michael. Here.
Yeah, there you
And,
go.
and I pre-signed that one for
Yeah.
you too.
So if
so.
anyone else got any questions, any
Yeah,
questions
does the
in-
playfield
questions in
multiplier
chat, just,
rule
like, hit
make
us up
sense?
and
Did I
we'll
explain
get
it well, or does anybody have any questions in regard to that, or anything else? If anybody has questions anytime during this about anything, just raise your hand.
We'll get the question sorted. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what else do we want to talk about here? Yeah. So there's a very cool feature of this game. I don't know how many actually knows that when Mike was talking about the different kind of areas of the playfield, is that it's designed in a way where you got the Goldfinger stuff up on this side here. You only live twice up here in this section here, and it's all themed differently, right? And then you got Thunderball in this section here. So is it only 3 movies it's based on, or?
No, all 6 are represented. Like
Oh,
Dr.
okay,
No's,
some way- one way
Dr.
or
No is
another.
like the tank and the pop bumpers. Diamonds Are Forever was the spinner. So I mean, sometimes they just share the same zone, you know,
Okay,
like
okay.
because and then the jetpack was from the other different movie.
Yeah.
But because that's farther
Understood,
back, but I mean,
understood.
it has to go through the spinner. So there's a little bit of crossover, but there is 6 basically unique areas. The Right Orbit is the one movie.
From Russia with Love, it
yeah,
says on that
yeah.
one. Yeah. Yeah, so that's why you might think that the artwork kind of looks a little bit off. It's not like the same type of plastic, but it's actually there's a thought behind that, basically. That it's
There was a lot of thought about that,
Yeah.
and it was largely George and Lonnie divided up the playfield the way that they did.
Yeah.
And from the get-go, they wanted, like, those guys, even before I was on, they wanted to, like, have the different areas of the playfield represent the different movies. Because you're trying to figure out, like, well, how do you make 6 movies, you know, into
There's a
one
lot.
game and make it, like, make sense and not be a jumbled mess. And I think that, I totally believe that the way they did it was the way to go for this title, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It worked for sure.
Yeah, I mean, similar, like, our Star Wars game had, like, the different areas on the playfield to represent the 3 movies, you know, Star Wars, Empire, and Return of the Jedi.
Yeah. Understood. So what else is coming? We got a topper already, and are you doing work on the lightning shows on the
No, so
topper?
just so there's no confusion, like, I help design rules to these games,
Well, you work
but
on
I'm not a
lightning.
programmer. Like, I couldn't write a line of code if you said your life depends on it, or you offered me a ton of money. I'm like, I mean, I could probably write one just by copying and pasting somebody else's, but it will not compile or work. But so I don't know how to do playfield light shows. It's something that I'm actually going to learn to do in the future. I only do the expression light shows because they gave me a tool, like a visual tool, to do that, and that's like a long talk for another day.
Yeah.
But I can lay it out visually.
Yeah,
And match it to the music. So I mean, I would spend I spent months on those light shows for those games.
Yeah, it's
but
like a song
again, it's
sheet
not
almost,
writing
right?
code, right? The tool I have, the programmers wrote something that can interpret the data that I make, and then that the game could read, and translate into like driving those lights.
Yeah, that's really cool. So it's like editing a song sheet almost, right?
Kind of, yeah. It's almost like editing a movie in a way.
Wow.
You know what I
So
mean?
you got like a timeline and
I have a timeline with like a wave file, with the wave file, and I got
right.
all these effects I can drag and drop in,
Oh,
and then
wow.
there's values you can tweak. It's a lot like it's a lot like working in Premiere in a way. But with sound and lights.
Yeah. But you just have 2 lights. So are they individually controlled? So you can do like spinning things, or are they just mirrored?
No, they're individually controlled, and they're
wow.
all RGBs, and there's 2 rows on each wall, right? So
Yeah.
it's like 2 rows of 2, left and right has 2 rows that go all the way up. I forget the number
Yeah.
of
So you can have
lights.
like a light kind of chasing around the playfield.
Yeah, I
and
can do
whatnot.
something like that. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Anyone
awesome.
seen the expression lights in any of the recent music games?
It was Led Zeppelin had it on the premium and LE models, and we sold it as a kit for the Pro. Rush came on the LE, and we sold the kits for the premium and the Pro. And then Foo Fighters came with the LE, but we only sell the kit for the premiums. The Pro on Foo Fighters wasn't made for expression lights.
I think there is a Led Zeppelin on the floor out there that does have the expression lights.
Oh, yeah, there
If you
is. There's
want
one
to
in our
know
booth.
what we're
Yeah.
talking about, you should go play
Yeah,
it. It's
yeah.
very cool.
I mean, the idea behind those was like making the game look like a rock concert when you're playing it, right? So I really enjoy doing it, especially because I'm a huge music fan. So when they pitched me the idea of me doing it, I'm like, well, I'm really nervous that I'm going to do a bad job because I've never done this before, but it turned out pretty good from what they tell me. They keep having me do them, so I guess I did something right. And it's a lot of fun.
Do you like working on music pins better than other things?
No, not better. It's different, and I love it. I love, because, like I said, huge music fan. So I enjoy it all for different reasons, right? I love working on the music pins now because I love doing those light shows. So that I'm partial to those. I'm like, I'd love to do more of that, But I wouldn't want it to be my full-time job. I enjoy that I get to do all these different things. I have a different role on different games.
Since you're such a huge music fan, what would be your dream theme for a music pin?
Oh, I'll never answer that because then somebody down the street will go and get the license and steal it from me. But
Good call.
yeah, that's another. So like when we ask questions, like two things that we'll never answer is what's the next game. The next game is called I Like My Job, and I'll never tell you what my dream theme is because it's like then somebody else will be like, no, you'll get that, right? So no, I have one, but I will tell you that my choice would be something that we'd sell so little of because it's not a mainstream band. You and I would appreciate it, and he would, and and Gavin Miller for sure would buy one, and Rachel Bess, and that's about the extent of the customer base of the band I would pick.
Oh man, that would be so rad.
Yeah, I don't know if I could get Gary and Seth on board with let's get that license so we can sell 6 games.
I'll buy it.
I'm they'll buy the LEs though.
Yeah. Super LE incoming, for sure.
Yeah, that would to do that it would be an SLE that costs about $100K each.
To justify all that.
To justify all that for 6 games.
All right. So I think we want to kind of wrap up if we have more questions, and then we kind of switch over to gameplay. Me and Mike is going to play this game and try to blow it up and show some of the new content that came out here in .95. I don't know if you want to kind of highlight some of the stuff.
I'll walk over there and I'll kind of just give the overview of the whole game structure before we start.
Okay.
And then as we play, I can point out the more nuanced stuff. But there's a lot of stuff in James Bond that people don't. Maybe I did a deep dive with Jack Danger. I don't know if y'all saw it. It was a month or so ago, because there's a lot of stuff in the game that I don't think people have picked up on yet, and part of it's on us that we could explain more things on the screen better, I think, and we'll get there. But there's an obvious way to play most of these modes, but then there's a less obvious way or a more nuanced way to play it that's a little bit more skillful that will net you way more points. So a good example of that is if you see 2 shots lit and one of them is flashing and one of them is solid, that solid one's the easier shot, but that flashing one's going to give you way more points. Some of the modes are structured in such a way that when you make a lit shot, the subsequent shot that work in a combo will be flashing briefly and it'll be worth 2x for you if you make it in a combo. There's stuff like that. There's stuff where you can build the Q modes. The Q branch modes that start as single balls and graduate to multi-balls, every one of those has a building the points thing that becomes your jackpot and super jackpot values. So you can blast through the 5 shots you need to make to get to the multi-ball really quickly, and you won't get a lot of points. But if you take the time and risk maybe not finishing it to hit these white shots in those modes, you're building up the value of not just your next shot in that single ball mode, but all that becomes your jackpot value, which then becomes your super jackpot value. You could walk out of those Q branch modes without multiplication with hundreds of millions of points. And now if you want to tack on 7x potential on that, you could walk out of those things with 1 billion points if you really play it right.
Oh, wow.
So there's a layer of depth I think that people are not catching on that we'll try to do a better job in the future of explaining to you.
So let me challenge that. So we all know that the rule cards are hints, right?
Right.
Because things are changing so dramatically.
Yeah.
So for people like me, we got to go on Pinside,
Right.
or have somebody explain the rule set. Have you thought about doing an official all the modes on your website?
Oh, absolutely, and I promise you there will be one for this game. When we hit 1.0, I've got this really detailed rules document that we've been working off of for this whole project, and that Lonnie and I are constantly adding to as we design the modes that are missing still. When the game is all said and done, when we get it to 1.0, I'm going to take that and then restructure it for public consumption, and then get the art guys to pretty it up. We've done it for Venom, we've done it for Godzilla, Jurassic Park. Very much we'll be doing that for this game as well.
Okay.
It's been my plan to do that from the get-go, but until we get all the modes in, it'd be premature. I don't want to have to keep making that Yeah, well, if I have to hand that off to somebody to put graphics in, I only want to do that once because everybody's got a lot on their plate, and I don't want to be like, okay, can you do this again, but now do this. So, you know, and like I said, some of the modes we still have yet to design what the rule is. But yeah, that is absolutely coming.
Yeah, so if you look at Venom on the scorecard, there's a QR code, right? And that should take you to the latest updated.
Yeah,
rule
yeah,
sheet, right?
yeah. Venom, the rule card has that QR code, which is the first game that we did that for.
Yeah, yeah.
That will take you to the rules doc on our website. Yeah, I wish we could retroactively go back and add that to this game, but we'll make it very public and we'll publish it all over the place. Like, hey, this is up here now, you know. There is a better than a rule card version, but not as good as what's coming version on the Insider Connected site. Yeah. We have rules to every game on that. If you go to the game page on Insider Connected, there's a slightly better, you know, more robust version of the rule card, more fleshed out for easier concepts and
We
history.
just came up with an idea, why don't you make a sticker of a QR code and pass them out here at the shows, and then people can put them on their 007.
That is actually a really good idea, and I might, yeah, if I could get them on board with making that for us, I would be for it. I can't promise it because that's higher than my pay grade to spend that kind of money or to even put a resource on making it. But I think it's a fantastic idea, and I will absolutely mention that to them.
Or just add it to your online rule card, right?
Yeah.
Somebody can print it out.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I mean, I've seen somebody at the Southern Fried Show printed out the Venom rule thing, which was, by the way, like 25 pages or something like that. 31 pages. And they made it into like a book format and with a cover. It was a beautiful looking thing. And yeah, and I gave it to Dwight. I'm like, I want that. And Dwight's like, that's mine. but it was really cool. And they just started with the thing and they just made a cool cover for it. So, yeah, it'll be along the lines of the Venom book where there'll be hopefully some graphics in there. And it'll have everything you ever wanted to know about how to play this game in there for sure.
Yeah. Here's a hint you can implement as well. Since you have the attract mode on the game itself, right? You can
Yeah.
have the QR code in the attract slides. Right?
Oh, yeah,
Download
yeah.
the official.
That is a good
and that
idea.
is something
'Cause
you
we
can
have the
retro.
QR code like to get you Insider Connected. Yeah, it'd be.
Yeah. So when you scroll by here and you show your tutorials and whatnot, just like download official rule set from the QR code.
I'm stealing that.
Yeah,
I'm stealing that.
it's for free. So you,
Thanks.
So you can burn in my initials in one of the high scores there. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot of that in Bond. There's, a couple of the modes, we're gonna go back and tweak them a bit. Another mode that people might not understand how it works, and we're gonna, in your all defense, it was a little bit too convoluted, and we're gonna fix it at one point when we get, caught up with the other stuff. The Professor Dent mode, it's got a roving shot, and most people just try to pick off the roving shot, and that's the hardest way to play it. If you hit the tank target, it'll freeze the roving shot, and then it'll make another, and then there's another shot that's roving. Every time you hit that thing, it freezes. So you could light up the whole play field with shots and then go pick them off. But, and here's some super nerdy stuff, if you pick them off in the order that you froze them, it's huge points. And you don't need to you don't need to remember how to do it. When you freeze a bunch of shots, the one that's flashing of the frozen shot is the oldest one you did. So just freeze them all and then shoot the fast flashing shot and then shoot the next flashing one. We're gonna make that mode a little bit easier. It's a little too hard and lengthy. We'll get to that at some point, but that's currently how it works. So freeze them all, just bash that tank target and then get that thing lit up and then all right, if you got the time, pick off the flashing ones in order. If not, just go start shooting all the lit shots. It's gonna be way easier to finish that mode.
I like that mode a lot, and now that I know that there's so much more to it,
Yeah.
that's what I really like about this game overall, is that you can step up and just play it, but then when you actually learn what's going on, there's so many layers to it, and it doesn't stop.
Yeah, and that was the goal. The goal from the get-go was we have to design games for a very broad audience, from an absolute novice, this could be the first time they play pinball, to guys like us or guys like Raymond Davidson and your Keith Elwins and your Eschers of the world that are super advanced, they can play forever. Keith Elwin's got a targeting computer in his brain, he's like the cyborg in the Terminator, how he it lined up all the people he was gonna shoot and he just bang them. That's Keith on a pinball machine, So we have to design games for that's fun for everybody of all these different skill sets. So So like from the get-go, Lonnie and I always like to do, we want the obvious path and then the less obvious, more skillful path. So like a regular, player could just play and they know how to beat the mode. But then when you get to be more skillful and you learn more about the game, it's like, oh, now do this stuff, and you get way more points. And it's more challenging, which is also more, it leads to, maybe it makes it even more fun too. It's like, oh, you feel really good when you did that more skillful thing, but you also reap the rewards on your score. And we got achievements that kind of point out a lot of that stuff too, so you get the achievements as well.
Awesome. Do we want to, is there any more questions from the room here?
And you could ask about things that are not Bond, like Stern in general, like I said,
Yeah.
not the next game, which is I like my job, and what's our dream theme, just because we can't answer that stuff. Yes.
How do you decide when to stop writing code for a machine?
Typically,
Sometimes it's a long time, sometimes it.
right, so typically the goal is when we reach 1.0, that's feature complete, where the game was as intended. Everything on the playfield does, that's got a light, does something. All the planned modes and features are in the game. Now, that's not to say that a game doesn't go past 1.0, most of them do, but when we hit 1.0, that's considered feature complete. And then something, beyond that, there's usually like just bug fixes and polish, but sometimes we've added things. There's no real set rule. It's like we want 1.0 to be like, if it's stopped now, it's the whole game as designed and intended and promised.
So one of the new things that they're in the Jurassic Park patch that's coming out, the 30th anniversary one.
Yeah, by the way, that came out yesterday.
Yeah, they're, just got through. So they're adding the co-op play.
Right.
They're adding the 1 versus 3, 1 versus 2, which I think is great, because when you're playing with, you have people over at your house, when you're playing with them and they're not very good, nobody wants to play against you.
Yeah.
So that's a great idea. Are you ever thinking about adding something like that to Bond?
I can't promise it. Like we've talked about it in multiple titles, where it makes sense. And I don't know if we will or won't do it on here. We will have a challenge mode for sure, like we do in the games. That's become basically a thing where we try to do that in all the games moving forward. But the co-op and team play and stuff, that stuff is really fantastic. Dwight was really the one that brought most of that to our games. A lot of that was his inventions, and we've adopted it in games where it made sense or we had the resources to do it. Like, for example, Jurassic Park, we did that anniversary thing. So that was a perfect opportunity to like, hey, let's put some of this stuff in there. It works best in like the longer games that have like, Bond is a very long game. One of the things we will be doing is addressing where the extra balls happen. Right now they don't happen where they're really supposed to. And we've been having long talks about how many extra balls we're gonna give and where, so there's a lot to do in this game, but if you do the right stuff, like we'll have enough extra balls to get you there, provided you don't just have 5 or 6 house balls in a game,
Just play with the glass off like I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, one more. Can you guys do a true pause mode in the game? That's something that, has been kicked around. I've read more and more about this. Yeah, I know if you got a ball in the play or on the flipper, it's tough to engage a pause mode. But if you have it in the shooter lane or it's locked, like Bond, right? You
Right.
lock the ball and you can pause.
You want to know, it's funny. Well, what's funny is you're kind of almost answering my question for me. I call this pause in the game. Like when we're working on games and I've got to stop and go talk to somebody, right. I open the coin door and just press the service button and I'm in the test menu. Yeah. That's to me is my pause, because like when you resume out of there, you're exactly where the game left off. In the old days, that would kill your game. Right. But in the spike era, of pinball, when you go into the service menu, like the game is just paused, waiting for you to come out of that menu, exactly where you left off. So I mean, that doesn't work for you on location, but nobody wants to pause on a game on location anyway. But at home, yeah, just keep your keys nearby and open the coin door and hit that test menu. And then, especially with the balls in the shooter lane, I do it also to silence the music when I'm on Zoom and I need to go talk to somebody.
Keyless lock.
Without
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
without officially confirming anything or any sort of timeline or anything, Insider Connected generally is always growing and evolving, so you never know.
Okay.
Pause your game from your phone, right?
You never know.
That's awesome. We got 2 questions from the chat actually.
Okay.
So is there any plans to implement a mode with the topper at all? Like you done on some of the other games?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I'm not sure that we were gonna do one for this, but I can't say yes or no, just because that's one for George to decide, I guess.
All right.
So I'm sorry I don't have a better answer to that, but it currently hadn't been talked about. There will be more topper light shows coming beyond what we just released for sure, though. Like that thing is going to be even prettier when we're all said and done with that. We put a lot of new topper work into the code we released last week, but there's more to come over the course of by the time we get to 1.0, there'll be more of that.
Yeah, so the other question was there's like 4 mini wizard modes that you're building into the game, right?
Right, yeah, 3 of them are in now, and the next release will have that 4th one.
So why isn't there one for each movie?
I mean, we could make 100 of them, but we got at some point.
Yeah.
At some point, I think we got to call it, right?
No, don't call it.
That's just the way it worked out.
I want perpetual updates, Mike.
I mean, this game already has like more modes than I think any game in Stern history.
Yeah, wow.
I mean, I could be wrong if somebody who has more trivia knowledge than me. I can't think of one that has more. We picked the 4 most compelling ones.
Understood.
Of the 6 movies of what they wanted to use for those mini wizard modes. So I mean that was like what felt right because it was based off the branches, right? So you've got Q, you got villain, you got henchman, you got specter weapon. There's 4. So I mean, where do you pick?
Well, that makes sense then.
Yeah,
because they're not based on the movies at all.
Yeah, it was the 4 most compelling, but it was based on the fact that we have 4 branches of modes.
All right, that makes more sense.
Yeah, so like there really is no place to put.
Yeah.
The other 2 that really made any sense.
Yeah, there you got it, chat. There's the answer. All right.
So I can only take so many showers, which is where I design a lot of these rules. So, like my water bill is going to get really high if I have to design even more wizard modes. Because all the best ideas come to me when I'm taking a shower.
Yeah. All right, let's play some James Bond. Thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah, I used to also work in professional wrestling, and when I was doing bookings, I booked most of our shows in the shower. Like I come up with all the angles, I'm like, this is what, you got no distractions, and it's where all the ideas come from.
Yeah, for the folks who want to watch the game kind of in the room here, you're better off sitting on the other side there so you can see the play field and the content. And I will try to switch over so we can actually see the game. There we go.
I had to go back for my glasses or it would have been a real short game for me because I can't see a thing. I'll scan in.
Yeah, you should have started.
No, I'll let you start. You're gonna
Yeah.
play better than me.
Yeah,
we'll
see
first of
about
all,
it.
you were practicing this morning.
Yeah.
This whole thing is really early for me. So.
Yeah. So do you want to run the B-Cam Emoto or?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. So I'll see if I can just.
All right, before you plunge though, I'll give the overview of like how everything works, right?
Do it.
Okay, so we've got 4 main branches of modes in this game. We've got the villains, which are all started on the right ramp. It takes 3 right ramp shots to start a villain mode. It never gets harder. It's always 3. That's actually one of the more attainable shots on this thing, one of the easier shots, I feel. So every time you make the 3rd shot, whatever mode is flashing, the insert is flashing right now, Blofeld's flashing, so you only live twice. Whatever mode is flashing on that 3rd shot, that's the mode you're going to play. The pop-uppers will move with the lit shot every time you hit one, or if you hit the Goldfinger target, which is this target right here, every time you hit the Goldfinger target, it moves it up 1 and cycles through it. So you can choose which one you want if you got a particular one you're going for at a time by hitting that. That same Goldfinger and pop bumper logic applies to the henchman modes and the Q branch modes as well. So we got the villains here. We got henchmen on the side ramp. The first henchman mode you start is only 1 shot away. So it goes 1-1, 2-2, 3-3. So the first 2 henchman modes are only a shot to start each one. The next 2, you have to make that ramp twice to start it. The final 2, you got to make the ramp 3 times. Each henchman, again, tied to a different movie. The pop bumpers move it. The Goldfinger target moves it, whichever one you want.
each mode has its own unique set of rules. Most of them have the obvious path and the less obvious, more lucrative path or a skillful thing to do to get more points. Spectre weapons, there's Spectre targets are behind the rocket. The drop targets are in the way, you knock them down, or you shoot up the left lane here that leads around. When you spell Spectre, it lights the Spectre weapon on the Goldfinger target. And when you know it's going is the insert, the arrow will be lit gold, and then the insert starts spinning. And whatever one it's on, excuse me, when you hit the Goldfinger target, is the mode you're going to play. So you time the shot if you want to get a certain one. Eventually coming will be perks for finishing those Spectre weapons, and they're going to be very lucrative perks, so it's going to be something you're going to want to do. The Q branch are lit from interacting with the different playfield areas. Pop bumpers lights one, spinner lights one, bashing the rocket lights one, the left and right ejects light one, and the right orbit lights one. Each one, 4 of the 6 Q branch modes start as single ball ones and graduate to multi-balls if you make the 5 shots required to get to the multi-ball. The other 2 are single ball modes. You can stack multi-balls with any mode except the Q branch ones that become multi-balls. Those cannot be stacked with any other multi-ball. You have to start the mode first, and then bring the multi-ball into the mode.
Can you start a multi-ball during Q branch when you're in a Q branch?
Only the single ball Q branch. So the Tiffany Case one and the other single ones. The 4 that start as single ball though you cannot stack.
Oh, okay. So there's not all the Q branch that are.
4 of the Q branches are the ones that can become multi-balls. Nothing stacks with those.
Okay, so are they ordered in a certain order, or are they random how you get it? When you start a Q branch, you say you qualify Q branch.
Oh, if you get more than one qualified, the pop bumpers will change the lit one, and so does the Goldfinger target, just like the villain and the henchman.
Oh, okay. Good.
So you could have qualified all 6, and then every time you do that, the light will change color every time you hit a pop bumper, or every time you hit that, and the color matches the movie. So like Diamonds Are Forever was a Tiffany Case. She was she's with the Q, or she's talking to Q in the casino. Yeah. That was like the first one that went in.
Understood.
And then I forget what the other one was, the name, it's off the top of my head.
Yeah, but you have to learn what you're going after there, basically, if you want to have a Q branch multi-ball or just a regular mode.
Exactly. And
depending on if you have Jetpack ready, right, you kind of want to play a Q branch that stacks with that, for example.
Right. I tend to bring the Jetpack or the Bird 1 into like a villain or a henchman mode. So I'll start a villain or a henchman and then start one of the multi-balls.
That's my tactic.
Yeah, so I covered the villain, I covered the henchman, the Q branch we just talked about. The Bond women, we talked about the Spectre weapons. The Bond women, like I said earlier, the same thing as the Q branch, the different playfield areas, pop, spinner, ejects, right orbit, rocket. They will qualify the Bond women when they're flashing. When they're flashing, then you shoot that side loop to collect it, and then that's where the playfield multiplier gets lit on your button. Jetpack multi-ball is pretty easy to start. When you go on the left eject for the first time, the left orbit's lit.
Yeah, you can start that in 2 shots.
Yeah, it's a 2-shot away. The first Bird 1 multi-ball, you knock down all 3 drop targets to light the locks, and then you can lock all 3 balls. They both get progressively harder after you play them the first time.
That's what
I'll talk about the rules to each multi-ball when we start them. They both again, both of those multi-balls, the Bird one especially has a much less obvious path to get way big points than just bashing, making jackpots and then quickly hitting the rocket for the super. You actually want to put off the super. The Jetpack, you want to hit that first shot very quickly because it dictates what your jackpots are worth.
Oh, really? So that's a hurry up.
That's a hurry up for that first shot that releases the ball. So as soon as that ball comes, get it.
Then you need to make the center shot.
The center shot, not the tank.
Stand-up.
No, the stand-up's only for the super jackpot on that.
Oh, right.
The gate, the center get shot, which is that gate, is how you release the ball to collect the hurry up and start the 2-ball multi.
Yeah, understood. That's a very tough shot to make from the right flipper, I've noticed.
That one is? Yeah, it's easier from a trap, but from if it's on the fly, it's tough. I can make it off the fly much quicker, much easier on the left flipper, just because there's you got a bigger runway. If you flip too early here, you're gonna bang into that post, or you're gonna hit the tank target. All right, so I think I covered most of the stuff. Lighting mystery. If you spell Bond enough times, I think it's 2.
So that's the high stakes.
Yeah, high stakes is the mystery award. There's better mystery awards coming. We're gonna once we get all the missing modes in there, we're gonna tune the mystery of awarding, better stuff, and then when get
Yeah,
award
yeah.
and stuff, right? Right now, it's fairly limited as to what it's giving out.
Yeah. One valuable feature on this game is like the ball save and the outlane. Is that you shoot the center stand up.
Right, the tank target will light your outlane ball slave.
Yeah.
The slingshots alternate it back and forth.
But you can't
You cannot light them both at the same
Oh,
time. We had that once at one point and it made the gameplay way too long. It was too easy.
Oh, all right.
The compromise was to have it go back and forth off the slings.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, like the extra ball rules are going to change, so I won't even discuss how they get them now. But right now, I think you get it off either tank targets or like loops. Mm-hmm. And then you think you also get one for like if you started enough modes.
Understood.
All right, I think we're ready to play. And
We'll kind of chat through it as we.
Yeah, we'll chat. We'll explain what's going on as we start modes and we start the multi-balls.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
while you're up first, I'm going to go refill my water.
Yeah, do it. Do you guys want to play as well, or you kind of look like you want to play?
Yeah, let's play a 4-player game.
How about it, champ?
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to watch you guys blow it up, but I guess I'll be the control.
Kyle, you won the tournament.
Yeah, Kyle is our pro player because
Yeah.
so Kyle won the strikes night at Lynn's Arcade, so he's the one who's gonna blow this game to smithereens.
Yeah. Even though I won the tournament on like Dolly Parton.
And you love that game.
I love Dolly. I love Dolly so much.
Ollie was my second strike the other night.
That's hilarious. All right, blow it up. So the thing is, what I love doing on this game, right? So I have such a funny story how you open on this game, right? So if you hold the left flipper, you start your kind of super skill shot mode, and on this bond and a bond that we had down at Lynn's Arcade, you basically just dead bounce the ball and the flipper up into the Q branch, and you get basically 10 million points, right? And me and Matthew, we had we played strikes night, and it's just like, let's just do skill shots on bond, right? And you were only allowed to like plunge and get the super skill shot, and it was just so close, it was just ridiculous, but so,
When you hold that down, hold that down.
yeah.
See, it lights up where all the skill shots
Oh, yeah.
are, but there's also a secret one that's not lit. That's
Oh, so that's the MXV one.
No, the MXV one's not even in there yet, and that one also will not be lit. But there is a secret skill shot beyond what you see there that's in the game now, and there's an achievement for collecting it.
Oh.
But it's a secret, so I won't tell you how to get it.
Yeah, but it must be the
It's-
center shot then, or now the orbit maybe. Yeah, let's figure it out. No, did not go in there. Still have some time to make the shot. Not making any shots today. Oh, there we go. Got a super 10 million. So now I got the bird lit on the left orbit, right? But I want to.
Yeah, jetpack is lit
Oh,
on the
yeah,
left
yeah.
orbit, yeah.
So
But you
what-
definitely want to start a mode before you start that jetpack multi-ball.
Yeah, I definitely want to not drain.
Yeah,
But
but yeah, always try to bring a multi-ball. I mean, obviously you can't get multi-ball every mode, but especially at the beginning, bring a mode in there
Yeah,
because not only it helps you beat the mode, right? And you're getting points from two things simultaneously.
yeah, you can get a multiplier going there as well.
Exactly. All right, so I'm gonna go for. By the way, if you do the top lane skill shot, for not plunging all the way around, there's two. There's one if you lane change, and there's a hands-free version of that skill shot that's worth more, where you plunge it into whatever's lit without lane changing to acquire it.
I'm so glad you finally put that in a game.
We did that in
Stranger Things? No.
Guardians, I think. Yeah, we did it in Guardians too.
Yeah. It's in a couple of games.
Let's see. I will keep those drop targets out of my way. All right, so I need one more of the. Oh, that was evil. Well, I needed one more left eject would have lit my Q branch, then one more after that would have lit my bottom one.
Can you talk me through everything?
Yeah,
Just tell me what to do while we're doing it.
All right, well,
Come on, champ.
No, it's good. That's
get a
what I need.
skill shot if you can.
Oh, we're gonna go full anti. So, and brick.
That's all right. You still have time. Now you don't. All right, so now you started a henchman. This one you have to shoot. I got red drain. All right, so this one you got to shoot the right orbit, and then when you shoot the right orbit, I believe this is the one where it does the combos. Yeah. So go for that right orbit, and then it's gonna light another shot.
Wow.
Or just
So in Red Grant, you shoot the right orbit, and then it lights the natural combo shots off of that shot, and then if you make them, then you repeat the process. Then you got to make the right orbit again. But if you make that right orbit and you make the side loop as your combo shot, the side loop stays lit, and you can keep comboing the side loop and blow through that mode. If you can make that loop 7 times in a row or 6 times, you could get through the whole mode in one combo and also net you the most points.
All right, talk me through this.
All right.
I'm gonna do.
Oh yeah, nice. I'm gonna have to try that technique. I never even thought to do it.
Ever got that to work?
See?
Yeah.
Always try.
Yeah, it worked 9 out of 10 times on the one. Not anymore because it's too broken in now.
All right, so you definitely want to start either a villain or a
Yeah.
henchman. So you're 3 shots away on the right ramp from a villain, and you're 1 shot on the side ramp from a henchman.
All right, let's hit the villain. That's fine.
That's why you're advancing towards a Q branch and for a bondwoman. So there's no wasted shot on here. There you go.
All right.
All right, Win Kid, you're shooting the blue shots, and they basically work as combos too. So your first one's the left orbit, then it's going to light up the follow-up shot, which I think is on the first one is the right ramp.
The Spectre targets to build the third one to
All right, oh, so now it's the center shot.
It's the best shot of the whole game.
Should have flipped.
Like ramp return, it's just.
It's the George Gomez shot. The shoot in orbit and then it hits a ramp and comes back. It's the.
is up.
All right, so what I want to do now is get a villain or a henchman,
Villain or
and
henchman
start my
going, yeah, and then
jetpack.
start your jetpack, because your jetpack's just 1 orbit away.
Oh, so close. Oh, it's
You get it
dead.
anyway.
All right, so let's see here what we can do.
I've never been able to get that skill shot or that
If anybody has any questions while you're watching us play as well, just yell them out.
Yeah, getting that henchman ramp is not very easy to shift.
Shaking the game.
Is it 2 tilt warnings?
Yeah, it's the standard 2 tilt warnings, and it's per ball, not like
Spectre will start assignments.
All right, got boxed. Okay, I got a henchman now, so
right.
odd job. Yellow shots.
Yellow
and
shots
now
for
I want
odd
to get
job,
my
yeah.
jetpack out here.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I've been struggling with that shot on this particular game.
Some days I make that left over all day long.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
some days
yeah,
I'll
yeah,
just
yeah.
hit that post every time.
Oh my God! Come on. Let's see if we can do a pro
I always
move there.
backhand that right orbit.
You can backhand that?
No, the right orbit. Because you got one of your 2 lit shots for odd job is the right orbit.
Oh, yeah,
That one
yeah.
I usually will backhand if I don't, unless I needed a combo with it. But yeah, that one I backhand that one a lot. It just seems safer to me. But it won't go all the way around when you do that. It goes to the top lanes.
Oh, that one. Ooh, don't find that now. I mean, I'm not getting that jetpack out. No.
I think if you hit your tank target,
Yeah, I'm just gonna
yeah,
go for
I was gonna say you're
go
out
for
lane,
those
but
locks
when
instead.
when the insert above the tank target is pulsing, yellow like that,
Yeah.
it means that when you hit it next, you're gonna get something.
Oh, understood.
So in that case, that's how I knew you were gonna get your out lane ball save. You've got a Spectre weapon ready on your, if you hit the Goldfinger target.
Oh, really? So what does that do then?
That's those are the hurry-ups off of, and then eventually you're gonna get perks for completing them.
Oh, yeah.
Most of them are half of them are one-shot hurry-ups and half of them are multi-shot hurry-ups.
So now I started a next villain. I started a villain. So it's
You
my
started a villain, yeah.
Is my henchman still running or no?
No, you're catching
There we go. So now I need to hit the center shot.
Yeah,
Right,
as quickly
where-
as possible because like it starts at 3 million and then whatever you get when you hit that is like what your jackpots are gonna be worth. There you go.
Oh, I didn't get it.
You're at 2.3 million, so each one of your jackpots starts at your base is 2.3 now.
Oh, I got a multiplier. Let's get it in there.
Oh, nice. So now you got 2x playfield because you hit the button.
2x for 20 seconds.
20 seconds, yep. 2x for 20 seconds. Nothing pauses at 20 seconds, so yeah, make the most of it.
Shit. Oh, you got a little
you got a
sleeper
grace
there.
period,
Yeah. Thanks, Lyman.
Alright, so now you want to hit the tank target.
Oh, the tank.
This one you go.
Oh, shit.
So
yeah.
that mode, this Dr. No mode, you shoot the right orbit and then it starts a pop bumper session, or you can shoot it up this one, right? The thing.
Yeah.
And then the pop bumpers build the value of the next shot, and then you hit the tank target to collect it,
Oh,
and then
right,
it
all right,
alternates
all right.
back and forth. But in between those, the pop bumper sessions contribute to what that tank target value is.
All right. So that was Dr. No. Right?
That was Dr. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, sir.
I'll get in there.
Jetpack multi-ball, only 2 multi-balls?
It's a 2-ball multi-ball, yeah.
And then, can you activate, like, another multi-ball?
No, it doesn't. None of the multi-balls stack with any other multi-balls. You can bring a multi-ball into almost any running mode, but none of the multi-balls stack with another multi-ball. And then later we're gonna have an add-a-ball component, which we don't have currently. Yeah. So you'll be able to add a ball. And then on the premium and the LE models, I don't know if you're familiar with the swipe-a-ball rule that was on Stranger Things. Basically, if you have a ball locked physically locked for one multi-ball, you'll be able to steal your own lock to use it as an add-a-ball in the other multi-balls. But then you have to go back and repay it by relighting the lock and putting that thing back to advance the one you stole from. So we're going to be doing that on the premium and LE for this.
Risk reward kind of thing. That's
Yeah,
a really
yeah.
cool feature. Swipe is called. Yeah, swipe a ball.
Swipe a ball, yeah.
Start assignments.
Alright, I got bird 1 lit, so now I'm just going to start a mode first.
Dr. No.
I'm going to try to start my bird 1. This will actually be a pretty lucrative stack because when I get to the pop bumper component of Dr. No, the balls go in there during my multi-ball. I can build up that shot value for the tank target pretty high.
Yes, it's quite impressive.
I need one more lock for bird 1, and then I'll explain the bird 1 rules as soon as I start it. All right, so at the beginning of bird 1, the 2 side shots are flashing, and if you make 3 of them before they time out, it gives you a multi-ball extend, so that way when you drain out of the multi-ball, it restarts it. but you have like about 10 seconds to make either any combination of the side ramp and side loop 3 times. I need to make one more before it times out. I think it timed out as I made the shot. Okay, so the rules to bird 1 are all the jackpots are lit. They go dark when you make them. And after you make 4, the super jackpots will in the rocket, and you can tell when it's lit because you can see the red lights are on the rocket circling. But if you put off getting that super the more jackpots you collect, the bigger that super is. And when you collect all the lit jackpots, it relights them all for 2x jackpots. And when you do that again, it relights them for 3. So the biggest points is to get 3 waves of jackpots before you get the super. And then you get a triple super. So the maximum, we call it the maximum bird, is like a 3x super jackpot. So there's like, and it's huge if you get that far, but you have to avoid hitting the rocket. Now, when we qualify the super, we actually will put the drop targets up in front of them to protect you from getting it too soon. It gives you like a chance to like, all right, go make those jackpots, right? So I always try to get at least to the double jackpot wave before I go for any of the supers. I can backhand this shot.
That is backhanded.
Yeah.
Totally.
One more shot. Oh no. And I didn't get my extend. If I had made those 3 shots, like I would have got all the balls back right there. Because I would have got the multi-ball extend. Oh, come on.
U-turn.
Yeah, there's my U-turn. I'm owed something.
And what is that now?
I have so many U-turns in escrow. You know, from close to a year of work on this game.
Yeah. Yeah, you got the back ready.
Oh no. Thank you, Ali.
Yes.
Different translights, preferred in premium.
Pro, premium, and yeah, You Only Live Twice was the premium, Dr. No was the pro, and Thunderball was the LE.
Oh, Thunderball, yeah, that's
Yeah.
the one that's on the end up there. Yeah. Over in the thing.
That's the super. That's
Oh no, the one on the end in our booth was the Bond 60th.
Yeah, that one was.
All right, so this mode, when you make one of the lit green shots, the other ones are lit as a combo, flashing for combos, which are worth 2x points. So you could combo this whole mode by going left orbit, right ramp, and then like make giant points. But also the side shots, I believe, are worth more as well. So if you combo like, if you do like, you know, right orbit, or if you do like something that combos you to the side, to the upper flipper, you can make more points off a combo of those side shots too.
You need to make all the orange jackpots, and then you get a flashing one on the.
Oh, so on Jetpack, crap. All the jackpots are lit and they don't go dark, and when you make 4 or 5 of them, I think it's 5, it lights the super on the jetpack, and you have to load the ball into the jetpack, and then it flies over there, and you need to knock, and then you need to hit the tank target to have it release the ball into the tank for the super. So the first time you get the super jackpot, the game controls the jetpack. If you get to the second super jackpot in the same mode, you control the jetpack with your flippers while you're flipping. So you have to trap up, basically you try to trap up and then time it so when you flip, it's gonna move over the thing and when you hit the target.
Wow.
Pretty cool.
But you need to get deep on that.
Yeah, you have to get pretty deep in that multi-ball. And the second time, after the first super, the jackpots go dark when you make them, so you have to make 5 unique ones.
You'll want to complete the special targets to build birds and jackpots.
Get up there. Oh, come on. I wish that post on by the spinner scored, because I'd be totally winning if it was.
a post 1/4 inch wide or 3 inches wide.
Yeah, it feels like it got bigger on this mode. All right, so now because I played a villain, a henchman, and both multi-balls, I've got Bond James Bond Mini Wizard mode, which is a timed multi-ball.
That's a new thing, right?
We added it like a few revisions ago.
Oh, okay.
You have to make all the lit shots twice each, and then light the super before the time runs out. And you have 70 seconds to do it, because it's 7.
It's not a lot of time.
It's not.
And this is the Moby song, right?
Yeah, it's a Moby song. And also, the side loop is lit white, and it never goes out, and every time you make it, it spots one of the lit shots you have to make. So if you're really good at that, you could loop that whole mode in like...
Oh yeah, right.
I think my best is 4. Oh, I almost had it. Oh, too soon. Oh, I hit the pop bumper on the way around. I didn't even know that was possible. I'm not gonna finish this. I got too many shots left.
There it is.
There's one.
So the super is lit now. Right?
No, I have 2 more shots to make before the super's lit. I ran out of time.
All done.
We are gonna add, like in cases like this where like you were able to plunge the ball again, like if you locked it or after that mode, you'll be able to make skill shots after that.
Oh, okay.
In one of our future updates.
Yeah. Sweet.
Is there any time you're supposed to hit the top button, like a certain color or flash?
When it's pink, when it's lit pink, your playfield multiplier is ready. And then if I were to press it, I would start that, and it would be however many Bond women were lit solid at that point is plus 1x for each solidly lit one, and starting at 20 seconds for only one, add 10 seconds more for every Bond woman, so it'd be 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. So in that case, I would have started whatever I had, it's probably just 2x. But you lose that on a drain. So all those solidly lit Bond women I had on that ball now are gone. I gotta light them again. I gotta do that once again.
Listening to you explain everything, every nuance, just reminds me how insane, how much thinking and goes into designing the rules for these games.
Yeah, it's up on my phone.
Oh, I was like looking on the other screen.
Yeah.
I can't see. Did you see anything on
The
there?
thing is, the chat vanished from
Oh,
the
no.
just be streaming through the screen.
Okay. So it goes on multiple things.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I forgot why.
Hit something.
We need to get an iPad so guys like that.
Yeah. The thing, I should have. I have one. Like,
I have an iPad too. Like in my room, I would have brought it. I didn't even think of. I didn't know I would be on the laptop.
I don't have a targeting computer in my brain.
I don't either.
Especially
I've been trying
at
to
this
figure out where
hour.
those guys get them.
Okay, at least I can hit that. Okay, so jetpack multi-ball. Hit the center, get the jackpot lit for the most amount of points possible.
Yeah, so you were close. 2.9. I mean, that's almost perfect. So now you have to make 5 jackpots to light your super. And the jackpots don't go out when you make them on this one, so you can make your easiest shots over and over again.
Oh no. No, it's not what I wanted to happen. Okay.
I tend to shoot up the middle a lot on this one, on
Yeah.
the first wave of jackpots, because you can hit that gate without even going all the way around even and get the jackpot. Oh, danger.
Okay, I've got a Spectre weapon lit, and I drink.
Is up.
Come on, Michael. Show us that skill shot again.
I'll do a different one.
Nice.
That should be worth more points if he's doing a different skill shot.
Right?
It's going to be.
It's going to be. Oh, look at that. We got insights.
Yeah.
I like how approachable the James Bond wizard mode is, right? It makes someone who's not very good at pinball like me feel like
And that was the goal of that one. It's like we want something for people to chase that, aren't advanced, like super advanced players, right? Like again, the whole something for everybody. Like everybody can get the multi-balls basically. They're really attainable. But what's special that we can give them that's closer? That that's the goal is somebody that's like like a more average player can get to, and then as you develop your skills, and eventually you'll get to the other ones, right? But again, there's always like to have something that you're attainable that's just within reach. And as you become a better player, you keep hitting these milestones.
different milestones.
Yeah.
Yeah, so to get that was one henchman, one villain, and a cue ball. Is that to get that Bond mode?
To get the James Bond, you play one villain, one henchman, and you play jetpack, and you play birdwell and multi-balls.
Oh, right.
And you only have to start them and not finish them, so you have to do 4 things.
And so how do you start the Bond mode once you've done those 4 things? Does it start automatically?
No, it's lit on the left.
All right.
It'll be flashing blue, and then the things that the inserts, are pulsing blue, right?
Yeah. So
Actually, it starts on I think it starts on both, or it starts in here on the ramp. But it's 2 shots. I think it's all right.
Yeah.
I started off the left.
So what do I need? I need a lot. All right. So now I want a henchman.
Yeah,
or
start a
villain.
villain or a henchman mode. You also have a Spectre weapon lit too, off the Goldfinger target. Oh, and you have a Q branch ready too. On the left, on the right each arm. There you go. Oh, you got your. So this is the Professor Dead one. This is the one where I mentioned earlier, where if you hit the tank target, it freezes your shot, and you can just keep hitting tank targets and freeze them all.
Oh yeah. There we go. So now I can just keep hitting the stand.
Keep hitting that stand up and freeze all the shots. Then as you're picking off your jackpots, you're also making Professor Dent shots. I don't want to switch it on his head when he's playing. He might punch me. Yeah.
I'm so easily distracted, so you have no idea. I can just drain 3 balls in 1 second when somebody talks to me. White did that to me at Southern Pride so many times. He's just started talking to me. It's just like, oh, do that, and it's just like, oh, yeah.
He does that to me sometimes too, and it's a see now you got James Bond lit on either the
Look at that.
left eject or the right ramp. Either one will start it. Oh, you got you were still in the grace period, so you got a large jackpot.
Yeah, and I got a jackpot and a Bond movie. All right, so how long was the time mode?
You got 70 seconds. You got to make each shot twice. That's lit.
All right.
And that side loop will spot one of your required shots.
There's only 2 balls?
It's only a 2 ball, and you have ball safe through the whole mode.
All right, that's 1.
And so anytime the ball's up by upper flipper, go for that side loop.
Yeah. Yeah, this is not easy.
No, it's not.
No, did I block that? I had a perfect shot and the other ball just ruined it for me.
The hardest shot for me in this mode is usually the left orbit because the ball is usually in my way.
Yeah,
or the flipper's in my way,
Okay, it went down there. No, did not get a clean flip there. So how many points if you actually complete this? How many points?
I forget what the maximum points were, but it's pretty huge. You end up walking out of this thing with a couple 100 million unmultiplied.
I'm host, and of all bike don't want to go anywhere right now.
I mean, you didn't even
56.
finish it. You still came out at 56 million.
Yeah. I got 91 on my practice game
Oh, nice.
in that mode. So that it's
You've
definitely.
got all the Bond women lit, by the
Oh,
way.
wow. So now it needs to
qualified. You got to make. Now you got to do that 6 times.
Oh yeah. So did you actually hit that 6 times? to
Yeah,
light
every time you make that
them
that
solid,
loop,
yeah.
that side loop, you'll light the from left to right, the one solid.
Oh wow.
Anything you were, this is your last ball, but you got an extra. Anything you drained right now, you still have them all flashing because you didn't collect them yet.
Yeah.
But any ones that are lit solid, you would lose on a drain.
Yeah, we're getting short on timing,
Yeah,
so we
they'll
just got
probably
one
call
game.
it after this game.
Yeah. We're gonna have to.
Called it after this ball, jeez.
Well, this is the last ball. He's got an extra though.
Mike might be able to catch you.
Yeah.
I don't think I have the. I don't think I have the perfect.
So what's on the flashing on the red target? The yellow.
Oh, you just started the. So on this one, the side shot that's flashing is worth double what the solid shot is, but either one will finish the mode for you.
Okay.
It's a one shot.
Oh, so it's a hurry up thing?
Yeah, this is the Spectre weapon hurry up, the odd job hat. So you got 2-6. If you would have made that side loop instead, you would have had double that. But it's way harder to do. So.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so that's like one key strategy. One key technique on this game is just setting yourself up for the side shots. There, because there's a lot of valuable stuff going on there.
And on this game, the tank target will toggle with the gates open and closed, and that the red insert at the top on the back panel, if it's lit, that means the ball's gonna go all the way around. And if you hit the tank target, every time you do it, it opens or closes the gate. So you can choose like where the ball feeds on the right orbit.
Oh man, try to backhanded, got a flicking the ball in there, but it's just not happening today, is it? Let's see.
Yeah, you got a Q branch ready on the DB5.
Yeah, you kind of want to hit that shot on a. It's really difficult. There we go. So Rosa Kleb, what's she doing?
So this one, the white shots build and the orange shot advances you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So every time you make and the white and
Is this a multi-ball?
Starts as a single ball, and if you make the 5 shots, it becomes a multi-ball.
Okay.
But in this process of making those 5 shots, pick off white ones too, because you're advancing not only what the next orange shot's worth,
All right.
whatever those things are at.
But I need to get the ball in there 5 times.
5 times,
Yeah.
before the time runs out.
Yeah.
And then if you do, you start the multi-ball version of it. But you're also, every shot builds what the jackpots are worth. So the more white shots you make between each shot, the more, each thing, the more the next shot's worth and your jackpots will be worth.
Yeah, understood. And that obviously carries in your multi-ball then.
Yeah.
Right, there's a lot of white stuff here.
Yeah, so now you do the jackpot. Now the next shot's worth 4 million, 4.2, and so will the jack. And if you were to start the multi-ball now, it would be worth jackpot to start there. So now you got another 7.2. 8.2, 9.2.
But I still need to get a ball.
You still gotta make those orange shots. So I try to get it in there because you gotta make 4 more of those orange shots in the next 47 seconds.
That shot is just like, it's my arch enemy.
When you shoot up like you just did, drop the flipper.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of trying to do, but it's not really working out for me. And I have a multiplier, but my solids will go away.
Your solids go away, but those 4 flashers, you got an extra ball.
Oh yeah.
They're still there when you start your next ball.
Yeah, so I need to get some side shots there. Look at me getting achievements.
Does this still count as an MXV challenge if he's coaching you?
That's a good question.
I don't think it does.
Yeah, what do I win, Mike? Yeah, you still got a ball, so. All right, so what do I didn't want to do now? I got jetpack. I got another Q bronze.
Oh yeah, you have another keyboard ready.
So where do you see on the play field, which, is it just the color that tells you what it is?
The color tells you what, yeah, so it's the
So,
yellow.
because there's no
plays.
inserts underneath the
Right,
frames
yeah,
there,
those
right?
aren't inserts, those are that's just art.
Yeah.
So the color will tell you which one you're gonna play.
Oh,
And eventually
is
we'll
there
put
a-
it, we'll put the ones you've done in the incident info of which ones you have left to do. It's not in there yet, but we'll get to it.
Oh my god, that was
Nice
so
ball
cool.
though. Yeah.
All right, you get it.
You catch it too. I believe in you.
Ball is lit.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop rigging for the next thing here.
Ballers are lit. Q branch is lit. Switch to weapon available.
Yeah, I was playing one the other.
There we go. I need it to try to catch Michael's score. I got Q branch modes ready too. I need to get up in there. Oh yeah. There we go.
Little Nelly.
All right, this mode you have to make the lit green shot, and then it alternates the green shot and the drop targets, and you got to go back and forth. But every time you make the drop targets, you're building the value of your next shot and what the jackpots are going to be in the multi-ball when you get there. So you can bang away at drop targets the entire mode, but you got to make sure you make those green arrow shots too. Leo was only 2 away from starting that multi-ball.
I believe in you to be able to catch up.
Is he calling himself up there?
He's clawing himself back.
He's like, oh yeah, MXV challenge.
Yeah.
All three every
Yeah.
time.
I just feel I should have put more effort into that extra ball.
Oh, come on. How did it miss that switch?
This is just a rinse and repeat from last year. Right? we
did that on Mandalorian.
We both had a really big game on Mandalorian, but he just like snuck past by like 20 million or something stupid, and the scores were in the 300s.
Yeah,
What's that?
Last ball.
I came back on the last ball and got him, but I thought he was going to win for sure on that one.
Yeah, then we played another one, and I was just so demoralized. I couldn't get it.
Oh no, I'm in trouble. Oh no. All right, this is another one. The side shot's worth more for this hurry up, but it's way harder to do. Oh, it didn't count. They missed the switch. It flew over it.
Oh, brain.
Oh, I got ripped off on that deal.
What's my prize?
I'll give you a banner, but also I'll give you a hat up.
I got a hat. That's
You have one of these?
Yeah. You gave it one last.
I'm just pledging.
All right.
All
We're
right,
out of
yeah,
time
yeah,
anyway,
yeah,
so
we're out of time.
thank you guys all for coming and those who stuck around, and thank you for everybody that tuned in.
For sure.
Online too.
Thanks, Internet.
Yeah, thanks.
For everybody at the show, come to the booth, and if you got any more questions, you want to hang out, you want to play a game. Yeah,
Absolutely,
thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Michael.
Yeah, thank you guys
Yeah, thank you for
being on
hosting.
the stream and doing this.
thanks.
Let's do, we'll do it again next time. And as Mike said, like Stern, Marco, and Pinball Pirate, they brought 55 games.
55 games.
We got 18 Venom.
18 Venom.
Yeah,
we
so it's
have
just
18
like
Venoms for you to check out. We had 6 bonds. We
High
got a bond
score
60th.
leaderboard. Get
Yeah.
your, come log in and play and get your Insider Connected badge. The event badge.
There's a
did an
unique
event
badge for this event,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's a unique badge for this event, and there's leaderboard prizes that we're giving away Sunday late afternoon for if you got on the leaderboard for the various games.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thank you, folks.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.